Hey, good Saturday morning. This is Greg Vine coming to you from the Venice Urban Forest Project here in Venice, Florida. And I am so delighted because last Saturday when I was out here, something happened that absolutely made my heart sing. And that was I came across two professional photographers in our forest taking photographs of little itsy bitsy bugs. In fact, right in front of me right now, I can see at least a dozen different little bugs, including a honeybee right over here. And they were seriously concentrating on taking photographs professionally, and I struck up a conversation with them about why they were here and how they discovered the forest. And then I told them about this place right here, the Waterview Butterfly Garden in the middle of phase one of the Venice Urban Forest Project. And they have been here almost every day taking professional level photographs of bugs and critters, and they love it. So our work is being used by the public in a big way, and I'm so happy. Today I want to talk about snags or sentinel trees, because very often when we're giving people a tour of our forest here, you'll see behind me a dead tree, otherwise known as a snag, otherwise known as a sentinel tree. These trees are very vital to wildlife in our forest, and we will not take these down. In fact, we encourage these to stay for a long time. This snag behind me is from a lighter tree or a slash pine. That wood is full of sap that is heartwood, and it's absolutely impervious to termites and so on. So once all the white wood on the outside goes away, which by the way has fed all the insects for years and years and years, that feed all the birds and critters, i.e. the termites and the woodpeckers, etc., has gone away, you wind up with this heartwood that is left, and it serves as this sentinel tree, of which your raptors use frequently to look for things to eat: snakes, mice, rats, bunny rabbits, etc. It's also used by lesser birds, and they post their sentinel birds, like the Florida scrub jay will post sentinels in this tree to watch while their other friends are feeding on the ground. And big bad wolf shows up, they scream, and the other guys scatter. They're the sentinel. That's why it's called a sentinel tree in my book. That's why I call it a sentinel tree. And that's why in our forest, this tree right here is called the Old Sentinel. Just a good nickname for the tree. Sentinel trees, very valuable, very important, and we do not remove them. We encourage them to stay. Vine at the Old Sentinel tree in the Venice Urban Forest Project. I want to talk today about the things that live in this tree, besides all the raptors and the birds and the things that go on upstairs. We have a whole bunch of little bitty holes all over the trunk of this tree. This trunk is solid with sap, so it does not decay. This tree will be standing here for decades to come. But what lives in this tree is the native Florida bee. They're a little bitty small critter, and they live in these small holes all over this tree. The thing about the Florida native bee is that it's a very, very vital pollinating plant for all of our horticulture, but particularly in Florida for all of our food crops. It's one of the most needed pollinators. So having a home for it here in the forest is a big deal. And this sentinel tree is right in our butterfly slash pollinator garden. And if you follow up the tree and look up at the top, you'll see it is just a beautiful piece of architecture that Mother Nature has created for us. And I challenge you to please come on out to the Venice Urban Forest and check out the sentinel tree and take the time to learn about the native Florida bee. Thanks for watching. Come visit us. Good morning. This is Greg Vine coming to you from the Butterfly Garden, the place where all the pollinators meet every day. And we want to say a big thank you to the Venice in Bloom team, the team that comes out here and actually maintains and creates this butterfly garden, the manicured butterfly garden, if you will, in our urban forest, which is a newly planted but yet wildland forested area. This area here is all well manicured and well attended on a every few day basis by volunteers, and the butterflies and the bees and the bugs and the critters absolutely love it here. But what's very important is all of these very good native species of plants that are selected because they are native Florida species with the color for butterflies, etc., are now starting to propagate themselves and volunteer out in the forest or the wildlands. So I consider this to be a great seed resource, and Mother Nature is doing her best to expand it into the forest, and I'm loving it. Thanks everybody that is working on this and doing it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm here to explain to you that sometimes making a beautiful new urban forest is messy work. And the messy work is having to take out all the bad, in this case, the Brazilian pepper you see behind me and the lead trees that are in this area here are extremely invasive, extremely bad. They're required to be removed, and that's what we're doing here. And you can see the tangled mess that these machines take care of for us. So understand that we have to take out some green stuff, which is the bad green stuff, to make way for the good green stuff and the good plants and trees, the native species that we want to have do really, really well here in our forest. And we've been very successful at this so far up in phase 1. Right this minute, we're in the beginning stages of phase 2. So please understand as we make a mess so we can make something beautiful. And I want to send out a big thank you to the people who make this happen. And the first level is the people who donate money and the foundations that give us grants and funding for what we do here. Because this is not a government-funded project, although Sarasota County is allowing us the use of the land. The City of Venice is helping us with water for irrigation. But it's the donations that are making this forest grow, quite literally. And then it's also the volunteers that are coming out here every Saturday, multiple times during the week, on an ongoing basis, to the tune of thousands of hours of donated time to create this urban forest. And the bugs and the bees, birds and the bees, just love it out here. And I love being in this forest. But more importantly, I love working with the people that make this project happen. So when I forget your name once in a while, or I forget to say thank you, I apologize. But there's a lot of people to thank, and this is a wonderful community-based project in what is called a public-private partnership with the government. Thank you all for helping this forest become a reality, and please keep on donating. And we're coming through the gateway, the entranceway to the phase 1 of the urban forest, which was begun in April of 2018, the actual physical planting of trees. If you can visualize in front of you that this was a barren wasteland 2.5 years ago, or thereabouts, to where today we now have literally thousands of trees and many thousands of understory plantings in place. What we're cruising through right now is an area of poor man's pepper. It is an herbaceous plant, and it's a native wild plant. It's a weed in many homescapes, but in the forest it's an essential plant. And if you look carefully, you'll see some white little butterflies skittering around. So these are white sulfur butterflies, and they are there literally by the thousands. And hopefully we'll get you some close photos on another trip through the forest. This project is being funded by donations from across the community, across the foundations, which is being created with the help of the Sarasota County government providing the land resources, the City of Venice providing the reuse water resources so that we have great establishment periods to restart trees. Because as you can see, we plant full-scale trees, and that's hard to do and can maintain a high survival rate. And to this day, we've only lost a very few trees. I think it's 3 or 4 trees in total across a spectrum of over 1,500 trees. And that's pretty unheard of in the landscaping and long-term installation business. What we're going through now is one of our butterfly gardens. This is called the Water View Butterfly Garden. It's right up against the Intercoastal Waterway, and you'll see here in a moment another angle. But it's specifically designed for intensive butterfly habitat and management, and it's working fabulously. I'd like to tell you that we also run right straight along the Venetian Waterway Trail, or the VWP, the Venetian Waterway Park, there along the Intercoastal Waterway that you see in front of you. So as an access point, if you come down on your bicycles or walkway or skateboard or whatever, you can come along the urban forest, which is just that. It's not a park. It is a forest being created to put back what man has taken away. This used to be a railroad corridor for the last 97 years. It's now vacated, and we have taken it over as a part of a trail and a reforestation effort to provide habitat for wildlife, the birds and the bees, if you will. And speaking of the birds, here's a bird's eye view. As we travel along, now we're going north from the south end of the forest. We're going north back towards the entryway. And there, between those buildings to your right and the intercoastal to your left, this was a whole lot of nothing except Brazilian peppers, lead trees, and other very invasive stuff. We removed the invasive stuff and we've put back what you're looking at now. It's a pretty outstanding project, don't you think? To be able to provide homes and habitat for Mother Nature right here in Venice. We've done such a good job of it, we now have a mama bobcat and 2 cubs in residence in the southern end of the forest. We also have a burrowing owl. We know we have more, but we have found and we see and we've marked off his denning area for a burrowing owl. So we have wildlife coming in. We had wild turkeys here for the last 2 years during the season. They come in to eat certain kinds of berries that they've discovered are in our forest. They like it. We also designed this forest and are designing this forest because it will never be completely finished. We're always going to be adding special plants and special trees here and there as we can. But one thing we learned that there's a very huge need for is habitat and stopover places for the migrating neotropical songbirds of the land. Meaning little birds that travel all the way from way up north to all the way down south, both in Florida, down to Mexico, down to Cuba, down to Central America, down to South America. It's pretty cool when you start learning about them. But as they come along the coast in the Gulf, that's their flyway because it's easy flying. But they're always looking for a place to stay for the night, to rest up, to be overnighted, to refuel, if you will, get some food, get some water, get some rest. And so they're flying along the coast. And they're always looking for a place to stay, and they need it to be within a mile of the coast. That's sort of an unwritten bird law, I guess. But the birds like to look. Well, as you can imagine, along the Gulf Coast, their habitat is disappearing rapidly. So we're providing, because this forest happens to be exactly 1 mile from the Gulf of Mexico. And as a bird flies, in some places it's closer than 1 mile to the Gulf of Mexico, as close as even maybe a half a mile down by Casperson Beach. And what that is doing is as these birds fly in, they look for cover and they duck in and come in, and they're looking, as I put it, for the Holiday Inn, and we're providing the Radisson Inn for them. And they're happy about finding what they find here because now they've come back 2 seasons in a row. And how do we know that? That's with Audubon's help. Audubon has come through here and documented our bird population. And originally, they did a baseline count when we started, just before April of 2018, and that bird count produced a grand total of 12 species. Today, we now have over 86 species identified and many thousands, underline for you, thousands of individual birds. So those migrating birds, I call them, are original snowbirds. So those of you that are used to coming to Florida as snowbirds, if you were a bird, we've got a place for you. Please come by and visit the urban forest and bring your camera because we are becoming a bird watcher's paradise. Thank you for watching. And you also may donate to this wonderful cause by going to our website, which is VeniceUrbanForest.com, and search to your heart's content, but please on the first page, click the donate button and send us some money. Send us $10 or send us 10 million. We will be grand stewards of the money and take good care of putting it to wonderful environmental use here in Venice, Florida. VABBY's been in business. It's a nonprofit 501c3 for over 32 years. And I am proud to myself and a smattering of other community citizens have been with this organization for all of those 32 years. Some people get to retire, but I consider living in Venice a lifestyle, not a retirement. Thanks again for watching. Come see us.